Awesome.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexander Horat with the Morgan Millennial Minute Report. The show is brought to you by David Morgan of themorganreport.com. And today we're going to be talking to an independent researcher. His name is Alex Gillingham. He's the founder of TNTV News. But before we get into it, if you could all please subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video, that would be really appreciated. Hello, Alex. Thank you for being on the show.
It's an absolute pleasure, Alex. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, so I would like to share my screen with you and show you this article, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So here it is right here. A majority of millennial and Gen Z investors are taking personal loans or borrowing from friends and family to invest in stocks. So this is by Market Insider. So it says 80% of Gen Z investors and 60% millennial surveyed said they took on debt to invest. So what are your thoughts of this article and what millennials are doing right now? Do you think this is a smart idea?
If I'm honest with you, I wouldn't say it's a smart idea. No, not really. You've got figures like 80% of Generation Z and 60% of the millennials. I'd like to know where those studies were done. Because a lot of people that I know that fall into those age ranges are not running off to put or to borrow money from institutions like banks or brokers, business brokers to invest in stocks. To be honest with you, I mean, some stocks are good. The GameStop, exactly, I can see that right here, and even things like cryptocurrencies, of course, they're not bad investments. Obviously, we talked in a previous interview about diversifying your portfolio. So try and hold, whether it's land or whether it's rare metals, precious metals, whether it's just try and diversify your portfolio so all of your eggs are in one basket. So yeah, investment in stocks is good, but I wouldn't be running off to a bank to borrow what could equivalent to almost a mortgage loan to go and chuck into someone else's company, especially with the economy the way it is. Definitely not.
Right. So you think millennials are overextending themselves then in this regard?
Well, I think they might just be being used, because I'm not being funny, but everyone sees about the economy's propping up, and it does need propping up. And only the Fortune 500 companies, the types of Apple and Amazon, have actually been working for the last 18 to 24 months. While most of the mum and pop stores have been shut down. So that's the thing. It's like, who are you going to invest in? Well, you're investing in Fortune 500 companies. And that's fair enough. I mean, they're blue chip. It might go up, it might go down, but it is a kind of a smart investment. If I wanted to make money, I'd find out the release date of Apple, their new iPad or their new phone, and then I'd buy stock. And then once it's sold and it's peaked, once everyone's got that new phone after Christmas, for example, I'd sell. And it's not a bad idea to do that, but it's what I like to do is have control over my assets and my money. So I don't really feel much control in stocks because the economy is so flamboyant. It's like at the moment that you don't know really where things are going to go, because only half the people, it's not a fair level playing field, is it? Because half the companies are still in lockdown or just falling back to their feet. So if you invest in Bitcoin, if you invest in Apple, when you invest in Amazon, then great. But what you should really be doing is investing in local farms and local organic produce and things in your local towns and cities. Don't go and invest in Apple that hold China, whether it's set overseas in China. How about investing in your local economy and your local towns and cities? At least then you can follow and you can trace it a bit better. Like, it's not like, oh, I've lost loads of money and it's in China, or I don't know who to go to. At least if you invest in a local farm or a local shop or a local supplier, then at least you can have a bit more control over your money.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It seems like you're saying is basically probably you shouldn't invest in intangible assets, things you can't touch, So what are some things that
unless you've got money to waste? No.
Right. So what are some things that you're investing in with tangible assets? What are some things that you're getting into?
Well, mine is business and land. So it's the two things that I think you'll never really lose money in, especially is bricks and mortar. So houses, land, um, and of course the other one is businesses. I've started, I think it's about 5 or 6 businesses since or just before and right up till now, while the lockdown period was going on. So there is a big opportunity, but instead of investing in other people or try and invest in yourself, and that's not even like monetary worth. Sometimes it's how you like a belief in yourself, confidence. Like those things are actual. Those things are like investing in yourself. When you believe in yourself, when you really, really keep trying, no matter what other people say, or you really you feel so passionate about something. That's when you invest your time, you invest your energy, you invest your or lots of other things. It's not just money, and that's what I mean when we're talking about millennials and Generation Z. The bottom line is, unless these people are born into quite a bit of money or they've worked their fingers off, they're not going to have a lot of money. So no, don't run off and put it into another company. I would suggest that, like you said before, cryptocurrencies, land, gold, silver, whether it's cars, so you buy cars, buy old ones, or whether it's watches, go buy watches. Or I know it sounds silly, but anything that holds its money and that isn't dictated to by a global corporation or an economic shutdown or something like that. Because land will always be worth money, gold will always be worth money, food and livestock will always be worth money.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But Apple phones and things like this.
Right, because they're depreciating in value while land and other things are appreciating in value. So I definitely agree with what
absolutely skyrocketing. They really are.
Yep. So I agree with that. So what do you think of people, millennials investing in skills? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yes. We've lost so much like historical memory and knowledge from our ancestors. Like I remember my granddad, the stuff he could do. And then I think about my granddad and my dad and then me. And it's like each generation we seem to like have a case of amnesia and we forget, or maybe it's because it's the times and we sort of become a bit more acclimated to doing things a different way. But we've certainly lost a lot of skills. Now, skills is probably a better investment, whether it's first aid, whether it's health and safety, whether it's firefighting, whether it's battlefield training, whether it's whatever it may be, advanced driving, whether it's pilot licensing, whether it's whatever it may be. That's how I would say that's a better investment than stocks in Apple or Samsung or Lockheed Martin. I would literally say skills is a very, very good thing to invest in. Yes.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you, so we see, everything going on right now, and it's pretty amazing, with everything, shutting down and all this stuff. So how do you think, the markets are going to be for millennials in the coming, months and years? What do you think things are going to look like? Do you think there's going to be a hyperinflation event? And if there is there going to be some? What do you think is a good way for millennials to prepare for that?
Okay, that's a good question. We touched on this last time, and last time I said that yes, I think it's a good idea that the millennials, that I think hyperinflation is coming. But in hindsight, if hyperinflation did hit, there'd be so many people that are screwed. And I think they might, if they are going to have inflation, I think they'll be drip fed. I don't think it will just be one day. I don't think it will just rise dramatically. I think it will just rise over increment over time. But the Generation Z and the millennials, because everyone else, and I say everyone else, but the generations that came before them are obviously probably a bit better off. They probably got a mortgage. They probably got a salary job. They probably got some savings. They probably got their assets already. So for the younger generations, the millennials and the Generation Z, I would just say, to be honest with you, like we said earlier, just work hard, be honest, try and follow your passion. It is going to be hard. It's going to be hard for everybody. But the reality is if you make it easy for yourself, if you try and set yourself up before it happens. So let's just imagine there is going to be hyperinflation. So what can you do about it? Well, you can make sure that you've got a job, or you can make sure that you've got a business, or you can make sure that you've got assets in wherever you live. Like for me, for example, if my salary job is just to disappear tomorrow, I've got a construction company where I can go basically where I live, and and advertise for my construction company. If that doesn't work, we've got our clothing line where we can sit on behind a computer and sell our clothes globally. If that doesn't work, we've got our security company where we can use other people and subcontract them out to places that are still essential or still open. So there's lots of fallback positions. Now, that's the idea that I think every millennial and everybody needs to get in their head, is that you have to have a contingency because the economy is not completely stable. Nothing's completely stable. Nothing's ever completely stable. So what you must do is have a contingency or a backup plan, and as many backups as you can, the better you'll be prepared for if something happens.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask you, so we see a lot of millennials, they've gotten saddled with debt because they went to college, and there's some millennials starting to go into college now. So do you think it's really a good idea to go to college, or do you think it's smarter to start, a small business, as soon as they can? What are your thoughts on that?
And to be honest with you, I would say both. I'd say pursue your own individual, like what you believe in, what you enjoy. So whether it's sport or whether it's construction or whether it's design or whatever it may be, start your own business. Nothing's stopping you from doing that whatsoever. But yes, pursue the academic route through college or university. There is a lot of debt tied to it. And there is a lot of people out there that say the only good reason for college is to go and hook up with a girl whose daddy's the CEO of a big company. Or people say, like, why would you go to college? Why would you send your kids to university? Well, to be honest with you, lots of people click in university, and it's like private schools and other places like that. Sometimes the best reason to send your child there isn't so they'd hook up with like another prominent family, but it's like at the end of the day, if you go in, there's like in England, we have hundreds of people take university courses from all across the country, and they come out and there's about 1,000 people fighting for 5 jobs, and the other 995 people are laden down with debt, and they're ending up in Burger King or they're ending up in McDonald's, and they've got a degree to be they've got a degree to be like a teacher, and they've got great qualifications, but they get screwed because there's a lot of people coming out and fighting for the same jobs. So I would say, again, it's a contingency. Start your own business, because there's nothing wrong with you getting those degrees or qualifications, applying for the job but not getting it, and then starting your own like homeschooling or like a training assistant or something, and you can pursue your dream in your degree of being a teacher or whatever through your own personal business. So there's always ways around it, and you've got to think vibrant, think on your feet, get your game faces onto the millennials and the Generation Z, because they are ultimately going to be in the middle of this. So they definitely need to get prepared.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So one thing I wanted to touch on with you, it was, it seems that, like we were talking earlier, millennials are getting saddled with massive college debt and other debts. And it seems like a lot of millennials are not able to get out of it, or they're having real trouble getting out of debt. So what would be your advice, or what you think, what's a good way for these millennials to start getting out of debt?
I don't know, team up together and rob a bank.
Oh, yeah.
Joke. I don't know. I don't know. Once you're in debt, it's super hard to get out of it, Alex. I don't know what they should do really. Because apart from starting your own business or getting a job and paying it back, or if you're in debt already, it's hard, because that's basically the climate, what they set up. It's called debt bondage. They give you loans that they know you'll never be able to pay back, so you stay in debt. I mean, that's they've done it. They've been running this show for a long time. And they absolutely, and yeah, there's a lot of millennials out there in debt, and doesn't help them be saying rob a bank, but I don't know what they should do. I don't know, because unless you've got family, or unless you work very, very hard and earn that money off, I don't know, Alex.
Yeah.
I don't know how those people get in massive debt.
Okay.
I don't know. Without risking their futures, going bankrupt, and then not being able to mortgage, not being able to get loans in the future. Apart from that, I don't really know. Apart from hard work, of course.
All right. So that's basically what we need to do, is just have hard work, learn new skills, and get hard assets, like you were saying. So
it all leads to one to another as well.
Right.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah. So what was your view on precious metals? Do you think it's good for millennials to hold those as well?
to be honest with you, I treat them as like a secondary or a third asset, not immediately, no, because even though they're good, millennials, unless you've got a lot of money, let's go for things that that can earn you money as well at the same time. I mean, playing the stock market with precious metals is good, but you have to be quite clued up in the sense of when to buy and when to sell. If you do that trade quite frequently and you know, then yes, of course, use that as part of your portfolio, because if you know how to do it, then if you know when to buy and to sell, it's very good, very lucrative. But most people don't even have money to buy a lot of gold or a lot of silver in the first place. I would look at harder assets first. I would look at land, or I would look at business before I started to look at precious metals. But they are a good idea. I mean, like I said to you last time, if you've got a folder, just get a folder or a jar and pop £1 away, or a couple of quid a week or a month, and then at the end of the year, go invest that into gold. But don't say, right, here's my paycheck, I'm going to invest all this into gold. Just try and make contingencies. That's the word of this video, is contingencies. Just trying to make, like, if you have loads of jars, for example, and you have like one for each asset, divide your money up equally, or however you want, for example, and then you've got 5 or 6 different pots rather than one, so you can spread and diversify your portfolio. So yes, precious metals are good. I would save. I wouldn't save rigorously. I save quite slowly for them. Watch the economy, of course. And if you have money already, then yes, I would say that's not a bad investment. There are worse investments out there than precious metals, 100%.
Yeah, so could you tell the viewers how they can find your show?
Absolutely. Okay, so you can find TNTV News, and we're launching AGTV, which is Alex Gillingham TV, as well, very, very soon, which will be a live stream from the UK from 6 till 7 UK time. You can find us over at Brighteon and BitChute, Rumble, Parler, Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, Gab, and many, many more social media platforms. We were over at YouTube. We had 40 million viewers, 36,000 subscribers. Took us 9 years to get that. We have an American reporter, Mr. Britton Winslow, who does an incredible job. And we were shut down, gone. So you can't find us on YouTube anymore, but you can find TNTV everywhere else. Everywhere else.
Yeah, so everyone, if you could please check out his show, TNTV News, look him up online, check out his website. That'll be really great. And I'd like to thank you for being on the show.
I got to see this, Alex.
Yeah.
if you like what we're doing, I got to do a little product promotion. So we've got British Patriot, our Global 9, and TNTV News. If you like what we're doing, Alex will send you one of these. If you send me an email with your address, I'll send you one of these over. And the next video you do, it'd be lovely if you could have a little drink from it.
Yeah, so that sounds great. So yeah, please check out get his mugs, check that out to support him. And thanks again for doing this show with me, Alex, and especially for all the viewers who are watching. Please share this video with your friends, and God bless.